That's pretty typical. I mean, I'd say my kids all have.
Yeah. So he's the last couple years, he's gotten a couple more kidney cysts.
Mm-hmm.
The brain tumors haven't really moved too much.
That's good. Does he have seizures?
Yes, he has seizures.
Bummer, yeah. Are they, they're not managed yet?
He takes the medication, but it only does so much.
Yeah. Yeah, but so he has breakthrough seizures, basically, or?
Yes.
Yeah, that's my kids. So it's funny because, like, I didn't think they'd start having them again. Like, we had them seizure-free for years, and then in the last couple of years, they started up again. I'm like, really?
Yeah. He started having seizures at 1, or no, 2. He started having seizures at 2, and he's been having them every year. They have never gone away.
Yeah, we went through some periods where that was similar, but we had long periods of time where there weren't any. So, I think it's just it's hard to describe how it is to live with that kind of uncertainty to someone that hasn't. So.
Right. Live through it.
Yeah. I hate to even have to ask that. Are they status, or does he come out of them, or can you got the emergency beds and everything?
So he still can communicate through his seizures.
Right. Okay. Now this came up on a board because my daughter had one where she was the first time she's had one where she would answer questions. And
yes.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah. He still can communicate.
Partial complex or
partial. Yeah. So it's partial, and some seizures are a little harder than others.
Uh-huh.
Some days he says his head hurts so bad it feels like it's going to explode.
Yeah.
And he has to sit, and sometimes it could take anywhere from a minute to 5 minutes, and he gets himself back together.
Wow.
But yes, he can communicate and let me know when he is having one, and then he has to sit there and just kind of wait it out.
Yeah. That's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he has to take some medication at morning and night for the seizures. And we just started him on a new medication because his previous medication wasn't as effective. He was having frequent seizures more. Yep. So with this medication, it's not as bad. His seizures have slowed down just a little bit more. So that has helped.
Okay. Are you considering the Epidiolex? Do you know much about that?
No, I don't know anything.
Oh, it's CBD. It's
CBD. Yeah, I heard about that.
It's the one that's FDA approved. They'll give it to you for TSC, but you have to kind of cycle through a bunch of stuff not working, and your insurance has to be, So
yeah. No, I mean, at this point, I'll take anything.
Right. Yeah.
I'll take anything for him.
Yeah. Actually, I'm hoping that they'll consider that for 1 or 2 of mine. I think that what I've noticed over the years is the combination of meds is just. I think that messes with them too. The taking meds chronically for years and years, and CBD has while it's a really high dose, I don't see the long-term impact as much as some of the other stuff.
Well, yeah, and I just feel like it's more natural.
Exactly. Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure.
It's more natural.
Right.
I was hesitant at first when everything started coming about. My mom and my brother, especially my brother, he's real big on CBD and, all that.
Yeah, I kind of am too. So
are you going to do
take a personal interest in it because it's helped me quite a bit. And I'll say that out loud because, so, I'm just thinking, watching your kid go through the meds and stuff, but it's really good that he can tell you at least.
Yes, he can tell me. He can definitely tell me.
So you can soothe, comfort. Now, what is the education? How's that been, the school system?
So that has been very difficult. So the neurologist had recommended him to go to do the other part of Candy Krieger that does like the psych testing for learning disabilities. Yes, neuropsych. Mm-hmm. So we did that the last couple of years. He has pretty much been graded below average for most of the spectrum. Mm-hmm. So basically he went so this is where it started, where in kindergarten, first grade, he just wasn't functioning. He just wasn't focusing. Mm-hmm. At that
he's probably like listening to static all the time.
Right.
At
that time, all I knew was a TSC. I didn't know could be ADHD at that time. I didn't know.
It's so hard because you don't I remember wait a minute. TSC can, but it's just so they can get the right treatments and whatnot.
Right. So he got held back in second grade again. And at that time, I wish I had knew better at that time.
Yeah, don't do that. You do the best you can. But I know the feeling, trust me. Yeah.
Because you almost feel like you failed.
I know.
because you're like, okay, but if I had got you diagnosed and got you on the medication, you would have been more focused and most likely you could have just passed through. But at that time,
it's so hard. It really is.
Right.
There's a lot of moments when have those feelings. But anyway, so
he finally, I think it was third grade or so, we got him on a 504 plan through his school. And then it was not really working out with the 504 plan. So then we finally transitioned to an IEP. So when we transitioned for the IEP, he was already on it for a year, but there was no progress. He didn't have a one-on-one with
They weren't
him.
following the
weren't following
goals and objectives.
Exactly. And I was like, okay, well, how? And the thing is, when you have a child that has TSC and already has behavioral problems and the ADHD and everything combined with the ODD, it made it very difficult for him to stay in the classroom.
Tell me.
It made it difficult for his behavior. It made it difficult
I have one too.
Attention span.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, you guys, we would constantly do meetings. And I'm the type of parent to constantly be in school. If they call me, I am there.
Yeah, I started out that way, but by the end I was like running from the phone when I'd see the school district come up. but I think it is the best. And now I'm back. I had to go back. I had to get really involved because I stepped away and that's where I kicked myself and I wish I could have stayed more engaged with that because you miss you feel like you got to be right there all the time.
Well, and he's in Baltimore City schools.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult because he's picking up behaviors and on top of his behavior, and then kids fighting him, and then some kid had kicked him in his head and made it worse. It's just so many things was happening, being bullied, and then I'm trying to go in there and deal with other parents and children and staff. And so when I went to Candy Krieger, I asked for, I need an attorney. And that's when they referred me to Project Heal.
Oh, tell me about it.
So I met Maureen at Project Heal, and she was feisty and said, all right, let's go in there. We went in there. Everybody in that school was like,
oh, so she was the closer.
It was like, oh,
I had one of those in a meeting. I had to hire an advocate. Yeah. And that's all I needed was her to walk into the meeting, and then I got what I wanted. I had to just shell out the money, and that was it.
Right. Then they bring the school district attorneys in.
Yep.
And I'm sitting there I'm not a mean mom.
So it was mediation, basically.
It was. And so the first couple of meetings, we went in there. We still weren't happy because the teacher wasn't doing what she was supposed to do.
And did you have to provide a lot of documentation?
Yes. I had to provide a lot of documentation, a lot of just communicating. It was to the point where
I'm just to know about what you did, just so if anybody, had something similar going on.
I mean, the only documentation I brought was just his IEP information, his report cards, doctor's information, that type of information. So people, when they come in, get somebody that is maybe associated with the TSC.
A TS Alliance?
Yes.
Yep. Yes.
That's
I had no idea I could even ask for that. So good.
Yeah. So, I mean, if anybody's in the Baltimore area, for Candy Krieger, there's Project Heal, and they work anything out. They go and fight for your child that has TSC, I think autism and stuff like that.
Okay. Is it reasonable as far as?
It's reasonable. So they do go by your income.
Okay. That's good to hear.
They go by your income, and then they provide you with a number and everything. And then if they can't help you, then they will try to refer you to somebody else. Excellent.
That's good to know about that kind of a resource.
Yeah, it was pretty nice. But like I said, the meetings, we didn't get 100% of what we wanted. We got some of the stuff.
Yeah, sometimes, you just choose your, it's triage all the time.
Yeah, it was to the point where it got very frustrating in the meeting. I think it was probably about 12 of us in a room.
Yeah.
And it was to the point I suffered with really bad panic attacks. So I remember standing up in the room being frustrated at what I was hearing. And I usually don't lash out, but I lashed out as a mom. And I said, I have to deal with my son in school every day with what's happening. I have to deal with my son out of school. of what's happening.
Good for you.
When I have him in school, I should not feel like I'm supposed to be in school 100% doing everybody's job. This is not my job. This is your job.
Yep.
And I just was so frustrated. I had to excuse myself, go in the hallway, take a breather.
No, that's just like, I think that my experience is just, I started out crying in the meeting. My ex-husband, who's an attorney, would go, and he was really helpful. And but by then I realized I had to kind of be in a certain state of mind to be in those meetings.
Right.
So.
Yeah, you want to be professional,
Right,
you don't want to come off this crazy person in his room.
Right. Oh my gosh, that's so true. It's just an emotionally charged situation.
It's common sense. And I know naturally we're going to do that because we are mom and carry our child
exactly.
or however people carry their children. Some people carry them, some people adopt them, whatever.
Absolutely.
And I think with any child, you're just like, you love this child and you're like, come on.
Right.
So I just have a lot of frustration with Baltimore City schools. I told my husband, I would love to move out of Baltimore City and go into maybe Baltimore County or eventually one day move back to California. But it's just
if you know you're going
to
be fighting the whole time, or you're going to be really having to advocate. It takes a lot of energy and time.
It does. And that's why I'm a stay-at-home mom because I can't work.
I hear you.
I
hear you.
I put myself on hold.
Yep.
So, but with the whole school thing, like I said, he's about to be in 8th grade now, and he still is on the IEP. Now he has a one-on-one.
Good.
So he's had a one-on-one for the past 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
He's gone through a couple of them.
Well, that happens. They know. Yeah. I know my son, I knew when there was an issue with the aid. I mean, before he would really be able to express it and articulate it. So I'm sure is that what happened?
Well, the first aid he had, I had to get her fired because she wasn't telling the staff when he was having seizures.
Wow.
And she was not really paying attention to him while he was doing his work to really help him. She was sitting there on her phone the whole time. And once I found that out, I went to the staff and I said, oh no, she needs to leave.
How did you find out? Because this is another thing, the aides can't communicate with the parents, which I think they've got to find a way to let that happen because they become opinionated about certain things. And I hate to say it.
Yeah. Well, some aides I can't communicate. I mean, you're not really supposed to. But
right. I know.
You try. So
you do.
But I found that out because the teacher was telling me.
Okay.
And then the teacher let the IEP staff know what was happening as well. Okay. And that's when I said, what? And then my son told me. So it's just everything combined was okay, it makes sense.
Because that's putting him medically at risk. Right.
If he's telling you he's having seizures, you're just sitting there looking at him because you think he's playing because he refuses to do the work.
Because it takes extra work to manage that. If, that's high alert, then there's action needs to happen.
Right, but it doesn't matter if you feel like maybe he was playing to get out of it.
Absolutely. There's you've got to act.
Yeah. It's regardless of what the situation is,
right.
You go and you tell somebody.
Yep.
So no, she left and then he had another one and she was great and she had to leave for her reasons and then he had another one and then basically he has the one now and they get along. They have their ups and downs.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I think that too, it's been good with my son to have him work through his issues with his aides. You say some mean things, he feels bad, he goes in the next day, he apologizes.
Yeah, that's what he does with her.
Good.
I mean, there's been a couple times where she couldn't get a hold of staff and, basically she had to call the school to have to call me. And I basically had to talk to the aide and him and, he was so in his moment.
Hello, Jill here. Hoping that you'll consider making a small donation to the ongoing production efforts and support this podcast on our website, tsctalks.com. There's various places to press the donate button and use PayPal. We'd appreciate your support. We've produced 50 episodes with more on the way. Quality content that's affecting change in our TSC and broader communities. So please consider making a donation. Would really appreciate it.
And my son's about as tall as me now. And
yep, it happens. They grow up.
So it's hard to control them, because you're
I know.
And they're getting stronger and, and it's okay, calm down. and I think at this teenage stage, and that's the very difficult part
Yeah.
for other with TSC versus when they're children, when they're smaller, versus when